I'm Alex.
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Spencer.
And we are
The Button Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers.
Were you covered in placenta?
I was covered in placenta.
I came out of my mother's vagina covered in placenta.
Controller in hand. It was
Controller in
dripping wet.
hand. Placenta in the other.
In one hand, an Xbox controller. In the other, dripping goo.
Coming this fall, the story of the Goo Baby. Pretty horror movie. Look out behind you.
You've heard of Boss Baby. Well, here's Goo Baby. A baby covered in goo.
I like the idea of a slasher movie about a baby that was just born and like the umbilical cord isn't even cut. So like every time like he appears on screen, it's just a long umbilical cord dragging behind him.
How long can he go before that umbilical cord needs to get cut? Dude, that's the next YouTube thumbnail. How long can a baby go before you need to cut its umbilical cord?
No, that's like the next Mr. Beast video. So
Yeah.
like, can he live 25 years? Cutting
I had a child.
for $5,000 or whatever. Are we doing the episode?
I tried to find out how many women could I impregnate at once?
That's the see. If Mr. Beast was smart, that's what he'd be doing.
Yeah, if he knew how
Making
to make
babies?
a YouTube channel, he would. That's
Yeah,
what
he'd be like, you let me impregnate you, you get $1 million.
Instead of being so beastly, he could be like more Mr. Civilized.
It's too much.
Mr. Sex.
Spencer, watch out behind you! Oh my God, it's gone. It left.
Oh, that was the subscribe button.
Oh. I thought that was his
And the
cat.
plugs that are in.
But I've been mistaken.
Yeah.
If you cover your cat with the subscribe button, I'm gonna be mad.
I won't.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Let your cat live its
It's a
life.
challenge.
Don't be afraid of the cat.
We need to synchronize cover our cats and subscribe sweaters.
I am greatly opposed to animals and clothing. Just so we're all on the same page. Like my mom used to, we used to have small dogs, and my mom would always put them in shirts, and I'm like, this is the dumbest. Like the dogs don't want to be in the shirts. Like they don't need the shirts.
Yeah.
And then they would like take the shirt off, and she'd be like, "What? He took his shirt off." I'm like, "Cause he doesn't want it. He doesn't need it." Like,
Animals in clothing, puppy power.
anyway, I guess we're starting the episode. What an awkward start.
Oh, I've been recording.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I just assumed all my moments are being recorded.
It's actually, we're at like the 30-minute mark already.
Oh shit! Oh man, you've been deep in this.
It's a joke. I'm only at 4.
40. I'm just kidding.
That's a joke.
Well,
I'm actually at 40 minutes.
I'm actually 40.
Just
40 years old.
FYI for the viewers at home, I will be on mute for most of this episode because I am sick and I can barely speak.
So, that's what I say about you all the time, Spencer. You're sick.
I thought you were gonna say you should be on mute more often.
Oh.
No, I don't think like you.
It's okay. Spencer still showed up to work. We couldn't give him any paid time off for today, so yeah, we don't have sick leave. So
Spencer loves this. He wants to be here now.
He still had to show up.
Yeah. He's like, I wouldn't miss a button mapper episode for the life of me.
No, see, he texted me this morning. He texted me this morning. He was said, Spencer said, and I quote, I can read the text. He said,
"You got a text."
He said, "Hey, boss, I'm feeling a little under the weather today. I've been sick for a few days. Do you mind if I take off work today?" And then I reply back to him. I say, "Absolutely not, Spencer. What have I told you? You hardly work as it is." He's here.
Very excited to be here. I could tell. Yeah. He's really looking. He loves this company. It's treasure. It's a treasure to him. I picked this month, and he was like, "Teddy, you made the right choice.
This is a good pick."
That is a great Spencer. Spencer, what do you plan on doing this episode? Cheerleading?
Well, I'm gonna do all the fancy editing. Like I have pictures queued up for all the different discussions. I'm gonna be messing around on OBS with it.
We do everything in real time now. I forgot.
It's great.
It makes the show better.
I forgot how my own show works. So welcome to the show, everybody. My name's Alex.
Thanks.
The guy over there is Teddy.
It's Timmy.
He's
over there.
I'm Alan. That's Timmy. And
big spender over there.
Big spender, Spencer.
Yeah.
It's Spencer the Spender.
Money bags.
Not suspenders.
That would be your wrestling gimmick, right? What? He's the spender. And you like come out, you have like big money bags you whack the opponents with.
That was
like with big dollar signs.
Ted DiBiase.
You could be making this up, and I wouldn't know.
When I'm sick, I just ruin jokes. That's my only job.
Saving grace. Yeah. Okay. You're not a joke, Spencer. And neither are you, viewer. That's why you should do yourself a favor and subscribe.
Yeah. And don't forget to like, comment, and head on over to the Discord, and we'll talk to you. And also, we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Hopefully. If I can get the service we use to upload the episodes has been messing up the last few weeks, but hopefully. But head to the Discord if you want to see me drink more orange juice, because I will do that for you.
It's not a joke. Don't ruin it, Spencer.
You can't ruin orange juice. It's perfect.
It's basically sugar water, the same as soda.
Perfect.
So we got an episode for you here today, not entailing orange juice, although you may want to put it in a versus match with another beverage of your liking. Today's video is a new type of video, although not necessarily. We've messed around with the concept, just labeling it as discourses, but it's a versus match, a good old versus, the 1-2 sucker up or something. Put them up, Buttercup. It's Treasure Month, and so we're putting Treasure's golden children up against some of the finest in their genres. We're here to determine if they are the best of their respective genres, if they are the true gems of the batch. Do treasures stand up to other treasures? Find out here as we put them to the test.
Teddy and I know a little something about throwing down, too, so this should be a good episode.
We've been around the block, you know.
Yeah. So I'm ready to jump into it and see if anybody can take the crown away from Treasure.
Excellent. Spencer? The Spender?
The Spender.
Yeah?
Saying hi.
How's it going?
Buddy. I'm doing swell, mate. Thanks. All right, so let me put my clip voice in, you know?
You have to put it in?
I love it.
Yeah,
you just said that out loud during the podcast.
Yeah. This is we're, you know.
Well, the clip audience aren't going to hear this part.
Yeah.
The podcast audience already know.
Oh, they're gonna clip this.
You want to clip this? Clip away. We're giving you common license, common attributions. So that's it's up to you, viewer. Anyways. In the 90s, I hope it was the 90s, very few companies could stand up to the video game giants when a little known gem emerged known as Treasure Co. And their first title was a banger. They came out with the famous run and gun Gunstar Heroes. You guys know about Gunstar Heroes?
I played it on the Sega Genesis.
Well, what is a Gunstar Heroes?
What is Gunstar Heroes? Gunstar Heroes is a game by Treasure for the Sega Genesis. I was going to type it into Wikipedia here, but I was talking and I typed the wrong thing in. It's a run and gun game developed by Treasure, and I'm going to tell you what year it was released. Hold on, I'll tell you in a second. It was released in 1993. Yeah, thank you. 1993. Their first game. It is a run and gun game where you play as is it 3 characters? Hold on. I really should have thought about having this up before I started talking. And you're trying to take down an evil he looks like a Nazi. I don't know his name. But it's a fast-paced game that never lets up. There's not a story synopsis on here. Okay, yeah. You play as Gunstar Red and Gunstar Blue as they battle an evil empire for control over the powerful gems. The game had 7 stages, of which the first 4 can be tackled in any order. The stage format may vary, and each stage has various set pieces that you must gun through as heroes.
Spencer, you played it?
Nope.
Nice. Okay, so we're going to determine if Gunstar Heroes is the best run and gun with our 2 out of 3 experience. What other famous run and gun games are you fellas aware of?
The first one that comes to mind to me is always Contra. You know, the Konami classic Contra, which is also a run and gun game. I can actually hold on. I can actually bring up the Contra page here. Contra is a video game series produced by Konami, and it is primarily a run and gun style. It's primarily made up of run and gun style shooting games. The series debuted in 1987, and there have been many entries throughout the years. Most of them were popular around the time of Gunstar Heroes.
I think of Mega Man. Mega Man was an 80s child as well on the NES, and he literally is a man with a gun, and he runs. He runs, and he guns.
Metal Slug, that's the other big one I think of, which is the SNK run and gun shooter, which was big on the Neo Geo, debuted in 1996 and had 7 titles. They were all military-style run and gun shooters, where you get to take control of various vehicles as you run and gun, and very arcadey in nature, but also very fun.
And then this one probably won't be winning any awards, but I do think of it just in terms of even on the same console, because this was a Genesis game, Vector Man being a very popular run and gun on the Sega Genesis.
Okay. Do we want to add any more, or just keep those?
I'm good with those. And viewers at home, if there are any you think we left out, feel free to let us know in the comments below and do your own little verses with us as you subscribe to Fight to watch all the episodes. So Gunstar Heroes, I think let's do the lowest common denominator first. I think I would go Vector Man, maybe. Or maybe, I don't know. What would you go, Alex?
Vector Man, if you're talking the lowest.
Okay. So is Gunstar Heroes a better run and gun than Vector Man?
Absolutely. We actually talked about Vector Man in the Throwdown already, so it's kind of fresh. It was like last year, but it's still kind of fresh in my brain. And while the first Vector Man is pretty good, like it's a pretty fun platformer and run and gun game, the second Vector Man kind of shits the bed. And yeah, I don't even that first Vector Man. I don't know if there's any set piece or anything in that game that could hold a candle to what they did in Gunstar.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would say similarly with Gunstar Heroes. It's like it's just so frantic, action packed, and I think it's like precise. I don't feel like Vector Man is precise, you know?
Yeah,
It's like you're slipping, sliding.
there's often times in Vector Man where you have to like, in order to like shoot a certain target, you have to move into position and then stop moving completely and just kind of just focus on that one spot for a minute, you know. Whereas I don't really find that issue in Gunstar. Gunstar, it feels like I'm always on the move. You know, I can usually dispatch my targets pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, it's funny you bring that up because in Vector Man, you can't actually just stop running, like to or you can, but you can't just like stay stationary and then aim diagonal. You would actually have to move either way. Which the same thing does happen in Gunstar Heroes, but they actually let you pick between fixed and free range shot.
I was
And
thinking
so I
of
think even that little. Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to I didn't mean to jump in.
That's okay. I think even that little like option, like you start the game and you have options. You could pick your firepower, you could pick your fighting style. Gives it like a little bit more like viewer onus and control. Like I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was thinking of that first helicopter boss, but like where you have to shoot up at it, but you
Oh
really
my
have to
god.
stop in your it's like you really have to stop in your tracks and like shoot up as Vector Man. Also,
Right.
the three selection thing in Gunstar actually opens a whole door there to like playing the game in different ways. In Vector Man, you do have power ups, but they don't last very long. You know, like you get like a spread
Oh
shot for a
no.
minute, and it's gone. So Vector Man, you really have to play the game the way it's built to be played. And Gunstar, you have multiple different ways to play.
Right. Okay, so I'm willing to just give the W to Gunstar Heroes over Vector Man. What's next? Next worst. Next best.
Next next worst best. uh,
Next of the
for
better worst games.
I don't know because the other three are really good series. I'll probably just go Metal Slug because it's probably the lesser of the three.
Okay.
In terms of popularity, it's very similar in a sense, but it still has, even though it was a game from '96, it still has some of those like old school roots where you pick up like different weapons and they last a very like length of time. Like you have like a flamethrower that lasts a certain amount of shots, or those like a spread shot, or like like a machine gun that lasts a various amounts of shots. So that does feel kind of primitive, but what's cool about Metal Slug is that you have the moments where you get to ride in vehicles. Like there's a tank, there's like one of them has like a camel with like gun strapped to it you can ride and stuff, and they get kind of creative with it as you go along the series.
From a visual style, I think Metal Slug's adorable. Like it's a great looking run and gun game, and I kind of wish I like put more time into them. I always come into the same issue though that when I play it on a console and not at the arcades, I really feel like I'm playing like a infinite quarter pusher, and it kind of takes the fun out for me.
That's true. When you're playing it in a home setting, yeah, it kind of feels like like just pushing in random like credit after credit makes it feel pointless. Whereas
Right.
I don't feel that with Gunstar. Gunstar actually
Hmm.
feels like it takes some challenge and skill. Metal Slug, it feels like with those games, I can just, with the way we have to play them, I could just pump infinite amount of credits in and die as many times as I want to.
Right.
Yeah,
Die if I want to.
I had a very similar experience with Metal Slug where I just played the whole game, but infinite quarters or whatever on like an emulator, and it was not fun at all. It was just stupid.
You
Well,
just
and like
feel
it was,
nothing.
yeah, well, like yeah, so it just wasn't made to be played in that
Yeah.
context. So
Well,
it's
that,
just like,
it begs the question about like a console experience versus an arcade experience in this one.
Hmm. That's true. That's our
like I
next
remember,
discourse.
Like I remember the first time I played Metal Slug, I was at a bowling alley with some friends in like elementary school, and like one of the guys there, they had a whole bowling alleys usually have like a little offshoot arcade area, and we were all in there, and I was playing like the Simpsons beat 'em up game and stuff. And I remember one of my friends was like, "Oh man, they got Metal Slug," and I've never heard of Metal Slug before. I remember playing it on the machine and being like, "Man, this game's crazy and fun." And then eventually, I would get the Metal Slug anthology for like the Wii, and then yeah, it was just like I could just put infinite credits in, so it's just like I don't know, lost the challenge. I mean, I guess I could have just not put infinite credits in, but at the same time, it's just, it's there. It's a tool I could use.
Are you guys willing to say Gunstar Heroes is better than Metal Slug?
Yes, I would say personally, I like Gunstar Heroes more than Metal Slug.
Hmm. Spencer will abstain from this vote. I will say yes. I think it's better than Metal Slug.
What do you want to do next?
Let's go next to Contra.
The classic.
I think we should. Yeah, Contra feels like the prototype, like the original run and gun.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows the Konami code, right? And this was one of those original games that used the Konami code, right? So it's
I don't think I know it. Is it left, right,
Really?
up, down, start, select, or something?
it's something. It's like up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start, right? I think it's the Konami code, but it would give you like more lives if you put that in
Yeah.
the game, and like multiple Konami games use that. I think Gradius did as well, but this is one of those games that like it's just in the zeitgeist because of that. Like I've been shopping online and I'll see T-shirts that just have the Konami code like laid out on them, and I'm like, those are the fucking 40-year-old dads you see. Like, oh, I like games, and they have a shirt that says like old school or something, and it's like a Nintendo controller on it.
Right.
So it's definitely popular.
Yeah. What makes Contra better than Metal Slug to you?
I think it's definitely harder than Metal Slug, and I think it has more games. I mean, it does, but like it's just the fact that there are more games means that there's just more to dig into with the series. I always think of the hardcore on Genesis as one that I've played quite a bit of, and while it's hard, it's a very impressionable game.
Is that a fair metric though? Because I think like you could put it against the best Contra game or something.
I'm just
Like,
trying to think of my positives here, because I'm not saying I like it more than Gunstar Heroes.
But if the question is Gunstar Heroes the best run and gun, like period?
So
And
which
you would
of
have
the
to put it against?
so which of the
Yeah, go
Contras do I think is better than Gunstar Heroes? That's the question then.
Is there one even?
Yeah, is there one that I think is better than Gunstar Heroes? They're close. They definitely have that co-op factor that Gunstar Heroes has, where it's definitely better to play with another person.
I will say personally for me, while you're coming up with your answer, I have always been kind of scared off of the Contra series just because it's notorious as well for like its difficulty. And I think like, yeah, that first game, I've tried it a couple times and it's kind of scared me off. It's cute. It's cool for its time, but I don't know.
No, I think they do come close, but I don't think I like it even more than Gunstar.
Okay.
So-
Spencer, do you have any affiliation with the Contra?
I do not. I feel like was there one on the Super Nintendo?
Yeah, Super Contra.
Super C.
First time no. It was Contra 3, the Alien Wars. That was the Super Nintendo.
I feel like I rented it once with my brother, and we had a good time with it. That's all I can say.
Okay. So we'll give Gunstar Heroes the win, and we'll now go to our last run and gun contestant, Mr. Man of Mega. It's Mega Man. This one is maybe going to be our closest matchup.
I feel like this one's going to be harder though, because while they're both classified run and gun, they're almost completely different styles of games.
Right. There's no co-op Mega Man.
Yeah.
That I know of.
Yeah, and while they do offer the same thing as like it said like you could pick the first 4 Gunstar Hero stages in any order. You could pick any Mega Man stage in any order, but Mega Man it actually gives you like a tactical advantage to do that. And Gunstar I don't really think it does. I think you could just play whatever stage whenever. Mega Man, you actually want to pick the right stage to play first, because there's a set order that you want to accomplish things in usually in most of the games.
That's true, because you would get the same weapons at any point. Although I did try starting on stage 4 of Gunstar Heroes with just the singular weapon, and that was a mistake. I do think there are more similarities, though. Like, Mega Man lets you kind of switch between the weapons for like different situations. Same thing for Gunstar Heroes. Um, and I mean, you're basically your only weapon until you get like the slide tackle is that main, gun attack. Gunstar Heroes does let you do some dive tackles, but otherwise it's primarily running and gunning. So to me, it's like they both perform their function as run and guns. Is it better, like, what's the best of the like best representative for Mega Man as run and gun, in your opinion?
As run and gun, I'd probably go with one of the X game, or probably X1 maybe. I think maybe
Interesting. Okay.
that's probably like one of the more frantic ones. If you're talking just like straight run and gun, because when I think of classic Mega Man, I think of like even like the idea of like switching weapons. Like you have to reserve a lot of the ammo and stuff, so you can't really do what you can in
Sure.
Gunstar, where you could just blast away. So I think in
Yeah.
terms of like fast frenetic gameplay, maybe X.
Interesting. Okay. I could see that perspective. Although I'm not opposed to like using one of the classic Mega Mans just out of my personal preference. I have played through X1, but like as far as like the best run and gun of the Mega Mans, like I can run and gun through Mega Man 2 pretty easily. Not well, I don't know about easily, but like I could, or 1, or 3 is tougher, but it's kind of classic. So, I mean, I'll do most people's favorite. I'll just stick with 2.
Okay. Do you think it's
Is
better?
Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, Mega Man 2 is like iconic, and it has some phenomenal music, although it loops a bit. It's a little simple. The thing about Mega Mans, though, is they're typically kind of annoying, like little frustrating, like cheap deaths. And I don't really feel that from Gunstar Heroes, although it gets tough. Gunstar Heroes feels like bizarre and unique, and very playable, and like I can learn from my mistakes and complete the game. Mega Man 2 as well. I learned from my mistakes and I could play through it. But I think like when I think of Mega Man 2, I think of that like that wall boss, the one that like
Mm.
kind of caves you in. And I think those little like frustrating elements kind of piss me off. Not to the point of not wanting to play it, but I think every Mega Man game has like a segment like that where I'm just like, really? It's a tough matchup. I think that I would still say Gunstar Heroes is a better game than Mega Man 2.
When I think
Holistically.
of Mega Man 2, by the way, I always think of what's his name? The is it Fast Man? Run Man? What's the fast guy's name? Speed Man with
I think
Dash
it is
Man?
fast. Fast.
Fast Man?
Fast man. Yeah.
I don't know what his name is. Anyway,
Dash
that
cam?
level with the dash cam, the level with the laser is like a whoop, whoop, and you have to fall down in like this certain order and stuff. That's the first thing I always think of because that level's brutal. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I understand that perspective, but also at the same time, I think the fact that I never get caught up on anything in Gunstar, it kind of just flows, makes it like every time I play Gunstar, there's always segments where I'm like, I forgot all about this. I forgot this even happened. As in Mega Man, even if it is kicking my ass, I always feel like I remember most of the areas because I spent a lot of time there, and having to overcome those challenges makes me feel good.
Yeah, and
So,
there's a question there of like, which would I replay sooner? Of like Gunstar Heroes or Mega Man 2? I don't really have a great answer to that. I probably have played Mega Man 2 more times than I have played Gunstar Heroes. But I do really like playing Gunstar Heroes. I don't know.
My favorite Mega Man game. I didn't do my favorite. I just did the one that was more like frenetic and I thought felt closer. My favorite's Zero. and I was thinking about like would I rather play that or Gunstar Heroes. I'd probably play Mega Man Zero, and I have recently. There was a day recently where I was sick and I was just home from work, and I loaded up the Zero collection on my Switch, and I just played Zero One all day. And I, as many times as I have beat that game, it still manages to kick my ass and challenge me. And I remember every bit of that game. Again, Gunstar
And it's
Heroes.
going to be hard. Mega Man has 40 plus games.
Oh yeah, Mega Man's huge. So personally,
Versus just one.
yeah. Personally, I can't separate that. I have to go with Mega Man just because I have a closer attachment to it. I think I probably would play a Mega Man game over Gunstar Heroes.
How many Mega Man games would you put over Gunstar Heroes?
Okay. We're talking the run and gun game, so I'm gonna go main series, X series, and then maybe Zero ZX. I'm gonna go at least the first 3 Mega Man games.
Wow.
Maybe Mega Man 8, 9, and 10 as well. So skipping like 4 to 7. Yeah. X1 definitely. The other X games I don't know, but they get kind of weird as they go along. And then the Zero game, I think all 4 of the Zero games are great, and maybe I've only played the first ZX game fully. I haven't beaten the second one. But yeah, those games I probably would play over.
It's like half the series.
Yeah, most
of the mainline ones.
The majority of the series, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Spencer, I know you did play Mega Man 1 recently, and although you haven't played Gunstar Heroes yet, you did play Super. So, in your experience, do you think you'd like Gunstar Heroes more than Mega Man 1?
And he has played ZX, the first ZX, I believe, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I was definitely in agreement with Alex that I think the X series is more comparable to Gunstar Heroes. But the X series was really hard, like the first one. And if Super Gunstar Heroes is any indication of Gunstar Heroes, it was perhaps too easy, but certainly as like Alex said, it was very slick, and you could just kind of go from level to level, and it felt kind of natural. So I don't know on that one. That's a tough one. I would probably, just because of time and the fact that, kind of as you alluded to, Teddy, that Mega Man just kind of keeps going and has had 40 plus entries in it, it would probably be hard for me to say that Gunstar Heroes is better than Mega Man, even as far as legacy goes. So, yeah.
Okay, well, I'm overruled. So, 2-1, Gunstar Heroes is not the best run and gun game. That doesn't mean it doesn't have to be your personal best run and gun game. Let us know if you disagree in the comments below.
I still love it. It's still probably one of my favorite Genesis games, so you just can't beat the Blue Boy.
Low bar.
In my words, it's a really freaking good game.
What's next?
Alex, can you introduce it? Sin and Punishment.
Ooh, hold on. Let me bring up the Wikipedia, and I will.
Okay.
Cool. Today we are going to match up Sin and Punishment with other rail shooters in the rail shooter genre. Sin and Punishment, though, is a game from the year 2000 and or 2004 if you're playing on the IQ player like Spencer is. The year 2000, it was a run and gun. Not run and gun. Damn it, I've been saying run and gun because of the last segment. It's a rail shooter developed by Treasure in partnership with Nintendo. Very similar to maybe one of Nintendo's other franchises starring a fox, but the difference is that the game is much more of a rail shooter mixed with a run and gun, where it's more about staying on the ground, using melee combat for close combat, and sort of like shifting perspectives. And it's very unique for that aspect. Like some fights will actually take you into like a 2D segment where you have to like use your melee combat and stuff. Then it'll shift back, and there's like a dynamic scenes going on, which is why it's on rails. It's very cool. And today we're gonna match it up with some other rail shooter games and see who comes out on top.
Now, very quickly, subscribe, and then also, should we just do Sin and Punishment Star Successor?
Have yeah, should we just do Sin and Punishment for a successor as like
I
the
think so.
the base game?
Yeah, we could talk about both, but I mean, I think Sin and Punishment Star Successor is probably the phenomenal freaking,
They're both
the game
really
that-
good.
yeah.
But maybe, yes. Because Star Successor, I think, does take ideas from the first game and enhances them throughout the gameplay and the visuals, and just the fact that it's on the Wii, which was unique because you got to actually point and shoot and then move with the nunchuck, which actually works very well for that game. It almost felt kind of tailor made for that experience.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it was just a sprawling game. It was like its own adventure with chapters and everything. So, I mean, everything you said is still valid. Like the original is still like the birth point of the series. Sin and Punishment Star Successor versus Sin and Punishment. I mean, I think Star Successor is just the winner.
Oh
of
yeah,
those two.
definitely. Star Successor feels more fleshed out overall.
Yeah, because I was thinking like, okay, now let's do Sin and Punishment versus Star Fox. Okay, Star Fox is just a better game than the first Sin and Punishment, hands down. I don't think there's an argument there. Okay, but is Star Fox 6? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hold on, wait. Well, no, that's the question. Are you doing 64? Is that because like if you're saying which Star Fox, I would just say like the first Sin and Punishment 64. Is probably better. Yeah, 64. I was saying because if you're doing like 64. Assault or something, it's like I'm going with Sin and Punishment.
No, we're talking 64.
64.
I was thinking strictly like even to the 64.
Okay,
Sin and Punishment came out 64.
Comparing 64 to Sin and Punishment 1, yes, probably 64 is probably better.
Absolutely.
So,
Spencer, have you played Sin and Punishment?
Nope.
Okay, great. So we're gonna just try and hype it up to him, and maybe he'll play if we get enough subscribers. So, Sin and Punishment Star Successor versus Star Fox 64. That's a question.
I was also thinking we need to pair it up against Panzer Dragoon.
Okay.
That's a good one.
House of the Dead, maybe?
Okay. That's veering a little more towards arcade, but I understand the comparison. Yeah. What other ones? Is there a third?
Space Harrier?
I mean,
just to have one.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess we could start with Space Harrier then.
Spencer, I know you played a little Space Harrier at the Shenmue arcades.
Oh, Spencer's a huge Yu Suzuki fan.
Biggest supporter. You've heard of the Wii U. This is Mr. Miyu.
Oh, all right. So I guess we're gonna do Space Harrier first versus Sin and Punishment Star Successor. I mean, Space Harrier was definitely a pioneer for its time.
Sail like the seven seas. No, okay, it's not comparable. So Space Harrier's just dated. I always die. His cry is like embedded in my head. Rah!
Rah! Yeah.
Was this on Shenmue or something?
Yeah, it was in the arcade.
Okay.
It was because it's a Yu Suzuki game, so it was like they had that and Hang On, which were like his two games.
Yeah, this game was trash. This is not good.
Okay. So that's a clear winner, Sin and Punishment. Next. Next worst best.
That's tough. I'm gonna say we do House of the Dead just because it's the least comparable of the other two we have.
Okay.
So
House of the Dead's like classic arcade shooter. And I mean I know the original ones are probably more renowned, but I do think of Overkill.
Overkill.
Like story-wise. Yeah. That one's funny.
Yeah, that one's I really like House of the Dead, but yeah, they're also quarter munchers. That's what they were designed to be, Um, I have to say though, there was I did get some satisfaction out of playing. I used to play 2 and 3 Return on Wii a lot, and I got to a point. I probably can't do it anymore, but I got to a point because they don't give you unlimited continues, to where I could finish the second game. Without running out of continues, and yeah, it was very rewarding and it's fun to do that. But at the same time, a lot of that is just memorization of like, okay, like I know in this part I have to fight the zombies that throw knives at you, and then that guy's gonna have a barrel, and then there's a chainsaw dude, and it feels like it's a little less control to me than something like Sin and Punishment, where you actually have like melee combat, up close, far away combat, moving the character around in different positions and stuff, just shooting targets on a screen, you know.
Any spaceship shooter that gives you a sword is like a win in the community, and the fact that they were able to successfully translate that into a 3D like rail shooter is awesome. It's something that like House of the Dead would benefit from, I think, is like being able to parry off the zombies as they get closer to you. Even in Resident Evil, if like I don't have a knife or something, I kind of feel weird, feel naked.
Yeah. I just
So
I think as fun and arcadey as House of the Dead is, I don't think it's comparable. I think Sin and Punishment
nah,
clearly wins.
it's cheesy, and I mean, sure, like Sin and Punishment can be considered in like kind of like a weeby poor Japanese translation way, but I like it's a more fleshed out game, ironically, because we're talking about zombies and flesh in House of the
Sorry, House of the Dead, I love you. Get
Dead.
out of here.
Yeah,
Wheel
deuces.
it away. Man,
What's
I've talked
next?
about House of the Dead twice on this show now. Once for a game talk and once here, and both times it's in a negative light.
That's so bad. What's the next one?
Uh,
And also, Spencer, do you like House of the Dead?
Nope.
okay.
All right, that's all we need to know. Next,
We'll do Panzer because we're gonna save the Fox for the big one.
Hansa.
Panzer Dragoon. I think Panzer Dragoon has many similarities to Sin and Punishment and the way that you play it. Controlling the. You've played a little bit, right, Teddy? I think you've played Orta. Have you played the original?
Yeah, I did play Orta. I played the demo disc on the Saturn, and I played a little bit of that remake.
Well,
And quickly gave up.
yeah. The less we say about that one, the better. The but you can unlock the original and Orta. So if you ever get through that,
I
you
hope
can play
to
the original.
one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried Orta, and I think I was playing on normal difficulty, and I got stuck, like, because you have limited lives and limited credits, so I got stuck at like chapter 3 or something.
Okay. I think they're pretty comparable. Maybe you don't have melee combat in Panzer, but just the fact that you do have the camera control movement where you can move to all four sides of your dragon as you're going along and stuff, I think does open the door to some more creative areas in the game, and it gives you a little more control over how you approach levels, which is nice.
Yeah, it's a cool concept. I love a good dragon in a video game. Dragon Quest, Dragon Ball, Panzer Dragoon. So for a while, I kind of like admired like the existence of this game on Saturn. I wanted to get it, and then I tried it, and it was not all I had hoped it would be. Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's a no. I think Sin and Punishment wins, but just simply because we have to match up Sin and Punishment to Star Fox, and I don't think Panzer Dragoon's better than Star Fox 64.
Oh, no way, not at all.
So on that alone, I'm willing just to boot it out.
Yeah, bye bye Panzer Dragoon. It's a Sega game. Spencer's not a Sega fan. I don't need to ask him, right, Spencer? Got it. But I will ask him about Mr. Fox himself of the stars, Star Fox. Is Star Fox, or is any Star Fox a better game than Sin and Punishment Star Successor?
Command? I'm just kidding. Um, Star Fox 64 is a phenomenal game. I'll start off by saying that.
Iconic. Is it the best of the Star Fox series?
Probably. Not my favorite. My favorite's probably 2, but in terms of like overall, probably. You know.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, and see,
with
Assault doesn't even count because that's not really an on-rail shooter. Like, you still have those Landmaster segments and
yeah,
Enclave segments.
that's the point. Is that you can only count the first game, which 64 is already a remake of, and 2, really, because you can't count Adventure, you can't count Assault, you can't count Command, really, you can't count. You could count Zero, actually. That was probably the only other one you could count is Starflex Zero. We're not. So yeah, 64 is probably the pinnacle.
And even 64 has like those all range mode segments. So it's not a true like on rails experience for the 100% of it.
Yeah, and
But that aside,
I admire the focus of Sin and Punishment, both games, honestly, but we're talking about Star Successor. Because while the game can get very difficult, the game has a certain flow, and that's something that I don't like about some Star Fox games, including 64, is that you get to some levels that were like the all range areas or like the different vehicle stages, and they just don't flow as nicely to me. um, And like I always would, I if I were to play a Star Fox, I would just want to play the R-wing levels.
Sure.
I'm just flying.
Yeah, the same. And that's I think been this constant failure of the Star Fox team. Like they just don't do that.
Yeah, like I mean, they still don't get it. On Zero in 2016, they were like, it was cool. Like what some of the levels were cool. Like I don't hate that game completely, but then I got to some levels where it's like, all right, now walk the robot around the insides of a corridor thing and find a switch, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. You know. I never have that issue in Star Successor, and I'm never like I don't want to do this. I'm just like, oh shit, how do I overcome this challenge?
Right. It's tricky. It's I can't believe I'm saying this because I've beaten Star Fox 64 innumerable times, double digits in my life. But I think like when I think of Star Fox 64, I think of it as like a formulaic game almost with like some like things I don't love, like the whatever that submarine level is.
No, that one's rough.
Okay. And then even though I've never finished Star Successor, it really does feel like kind of a work of art. I would go Star Successor as maybe the best on-rail shooter.
Yeah, I would too. Spencer, do you have anything to say about Star Fox?
I loved Star Fox, but I never played Star Successor. So, but I'll say that Star Fox 64 was fantastic, and I didn't really hate the tank levels, but certainly Zero would not. I would say no. Just not having played Sin Punishment, I would still say no for Zero.
That's fair.
I think it's worth noting.
Maybe one day you will. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's worth noting that Star Fox certainly has a great legacy to it. Although, Teddy, you are right that they just really haven't. I think after Star Fox 64, they really just haven't figured out this series. But the legacy from N64 and prior, I think, has lived on. And
Yeah,
I think that's worth something.
2's my favorite. That game was unreleased for the longest damn time. They just scrapped it. And then they finally released it on like the mini and stuff. And then they put it on like the Switch. And then I finally got around to playing it. And I was like, this game's great. Like, they should have just released this. Like I get 64 was great too. So I'm not like regretting that decision. But I'm just saying, like, Star Fox 2 seemed like the obvious next step for the franchise. And then after 64, yeah, they just kind of fumbled. They were like, what do we do with this?
Wow. All right. So it's 2-1. Sin and Punishment Star Successor is the best on-rail shooter.
It's the successor.
Will there be one? You decide, viewer. If you haven't tried it, you should. Maybe we'll make Spencer play it. So, hey, if you don't agree, write a comment. And subscribe. Keep saying it. All right, we are on to the final treasure of Treasure's Legacy. It is many people's personal treasure of a beloved series. What am I saying? Series or genre? Alex, you could probably introduce this better than I can right now. Can you introduce Ikaruga to the death match?
Sure. Everybody, let's go back to 2004 for Spencer's favorite game in his favorite genre. That's right. Today we're talking about Ikaruga and the spaceship shooter, aka shoot 'em up genre, whatever you want to call it. Shmup. I call them shmup. That's the nerdiest thing to say. It's a game from 2004 that debuted on the Dreamcast, but is more widely known for its GameCube port, and then it will later go on to be ported to other consoles. A vertical spaceship shooter by Treasure that uses unique color-changing mechanics to really change the way you think about spaceship shooters. Teddy and I like spaceship shooters quite a bit, so I feel like this is going to be an easy one to think of other games to pit against it, but here we go. We're going to do our best and see if anything can topple Ikaruga.
STGs. I'm a nerd. That's my naming for this genre. Spencer, what's up?
I would just like to add that it was released in 2001, but in Japan in arcade.
Why is the... Oh, okay. That's our release date is 2004.
Yeah, just for clarity, we're Americans, so it makes more sense.
The Wikipedia told me 2004. Thanks,
Spencer's
Wikipedia.
in before. Actually, it's 2001 comments.
All right, Teddy. We did 4 for the other 2, so we got to think of 4 spaceship shooters to pit against this one, and this is probably going to be the easiest one to do.
Yeah. Well, Spencer, first off, have you played it?
No.
Got it. All right. Well, that will make this much easier. Do you have any spaceship shooters that you've played and can speak to?
I think I played an arcade Gradius game at my dentist's office.
Ew. Gross.
At the dentist.
That can be our number 4.
What's wrong with arcade Gradius?
It's like old.
I like Gradius, but yeah.
It's fine. I mean, listen, I know I'm probably earning the ire of our like old heads, but yeah, Gradius is fine. Alex, I gotta go Thunder Force.
I was gonna go Thunder Force. You stole it. You stole it before I could steal
yeah.
it.
I'm in before Alex steals or says Thunder Force.
There are a lot of
other
spaceship
shooters. Yeah,
there are a lot of them. So I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the ones that I think are on the same level, because I could throw out multiples that probably aren't on the same level. I'm surprised you went Thunder Force first instead of Darius. Because
Darius is good.
Yeah,
I
I'm
would
gonna
be
go
interested
Darius.
in comparing Darius.
Yeah, I'll go Darius.
And then there's other classic ones people revere, like Einhander. What else? The Ray Storm games.
Yeah, aka Layer Section, aka Galactic Attack.
So there's multiple directions we could go. Is there one that you feel like we have a more common language we could speak to?
That's you know what? I'm gonna go, because with multis matchups we go with bigger classic ones, but I'm gonna go with a more modern take. I'm gonna go Stormwind.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm down with including Stormwind. So it's G Gradius, Darius, Thunder Force, and Stormwind.
Do you have another one you want to?
Gradius.
Well, you don't seem very keen on Gradius. Do you have another one to replace
another
it? Maybe?
Shit one?
And yeah, shit one, but just another one.
I'm really coming at Gradius today. What's the other one? Life Force. Isn't that also Gradius?
That's also great. Yeah, and so is Nemesis. They're all Gradius. It's all the same
Yeah, so
series.
just throw all that shit together.
Okay. All right, I guess we'll stick with Gradius. We'll keep it in the
Yeah. So what is
first
Gradius,
match.
Spencer?
So what is Gradius?
In looking at what Gradius is, it was not that I played, but
Oh.
it's a shooting.
What the hell
game
did you
in
play?
space. I have
Maybe it
no
was
idea.
shit, what's the other one? What's the damn it? Starts with an R. I don't remember the name of the fucking game. It's the other old popular one.
R-Type.
R-Type, thank you. Yes. Maybe it was R-Type.
Yeah, this
Okay.
also reminded me of Star Soldier. Like that's another
It wasn't that
kind of
either.
older.
One of my favorites is Gunbird. I don't know if Tate's played Gunbird.
Isn't there another name for that one too?
Mobile Light Force.
Yeah, I just know it for that. For you mentioned that.
But yeah, no, we'll keep Gradius and we'll compare them. Clearly Teddy doesn't like Gradius though, so
So Gradius, the way it works is like you collect like these P symbols or something, right? And then like you
Yeah.
can choose when to use it as a power up as at like stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. 1 is for speed, 2 is for like a double shot, and then like there's also like a shield at one point. I think one of them is an extra life. And that's like the gimmick, that's the mechanic. But the problem is when you die, you lose all of those. So it makes Gradius a pain in the ass to play.
Yeah, I was gonna say much like Konami's other Contra, which we talked about, Gradius is known for its difficulty because of that. Because it's really one hit, you're fucked. You know, if you lose all your power ups, especially in some of the later stages, it's hard to collect all the P and get back up to where you need to be. Which, by the way, I'm always collecting P, so just let you guys know.
Yeah.
But there are multiple games in the Gradius franchise, and they're all very respectable. They even go up through like the 360 and stuff. They're still doing newer games. But,
I finished one of them, and it was the Game Boy one, Nemesis. It was just like the easiest one, so I just happened to get through it. But I kind of played through it and felt like I played nothing.
comparing it to Ikaruga is almost a joke, because Ikaruga completely changes the way you think about a spaceship shooter, and Gradius is the way you expect a spaceship shooter to be. You know,
It's almost like the thing that makes Gradius unique is such a joke. It's like I don't know. I'm really harping on it, but like I seriously think like the point of that whole system, it's not a pleasant experience for me. It's really frustrating.
well, it's very archaic, but it's also like it's archaic for a reason because it's very very early in the genre, so it makes sense.
Right. And that system is fine when it's tried and true. And Gradius is an example of like the tried and true spaceship shooter formula versus like let's try and make it unique and kind of like a more of like a beneficial experience when you chain multipliers. In Gradius, you really have to survive. And so that's the thing. So yeah, Gradius loses. I don't it's antiquated. Yeah, it's not. It is no Ikaruga. Sorry to the dentist, Spencer, but tell him to get Ikaruga. Next,
What were the other ones?
Darius, maybe?
Thunder Force Darius. What was the other one we had?
Stormwind.
Stormwind. Spencer, you're muted, but I read your lips.
Yeah, I noticed that immediately. Which one did you want to do next?
Thunder Force? No, Darius. You said Darius.
It could go either way for me. I think that Thunder Force is more revered. So let's go Darius.
Yeah, let's go Darius. The fish shooter.
Yeah, the space fish shooter. Okay, I love Darius games. I almost think we should probably put this over Thunder Force in terms of like the artistic ability. Can we come back to Darius?
Sure.
Let's go Thunder Force. I think Thunder Force is a more traditional shooter. So okay, Thunder Force really was renowned on the Genesis, although there was later a PlayStation 1 version, Thunder Force 5, and a PlayStation 2 version that was only released in Japan, Thunder Force 6. And the most beloved Thunder Force games are Thunder Force 3, and Thunder Force 4. Thunder Force 2 is cool, but it just has like over the top sections that are kind of weird, and it's rusty, it's old,
I like
hard.
it.
I love that game. I do too, but it's hard. So we'll stick kind of with Thunder Force. 3 is really considered like the traditional one, and then Lightning Force number 4 is like hard as nails. There's that one has a sword mechanic, ironically. So Thunder Force 3 just plays really well. You get to choose your stages, and uh, has a banging soundtrack, really like heavy rock guitar, techno soft at its finest.
Technosoft knocked the fucking ball out of the park with those game soundtracks.
Yeah, Lightning Force is on a whole nother level. That one's just chef's kiss. But like especially for you rock fans. But no, three is really good too. I could go back to that soundtrack. I think that game is like maybe one of the best spaceship shooters I've ever played. I've played it in one credit or one sitting. I don't know about one credit, but like with the allotted numbers of credits. And I just, I think you can kind of jump into Thunder Force 3, suck, like get your ass kicked, and then come back and do better. And like you actually want to. I don't think there's too high of a learning curve. So I think it's really a phenomenal game.
When talking about the Sega Genesis, which Spencer does all the time, it's Thunder Force is like among the holy grails of like the console, like that series. And like even among other spaceship shooters on the console that are really well done, always think of like Glade Lancer and like games like that, like even like the Toa Plan one, like Truxton. Thunder Force is still it's probably the best shooter series on the console. And yeah, if I had to like make like a top 10 franchises on Genesis, that's definitely up there. But does it transcend? That's my question. Does it transcend to Ikaruga? Is it even fair to compare? Because there's a bit of a gap between the Thunder Force games that I've played. I haven't played the PS1 one or the PS2 one, but the Thunder Force games that I've played and Ikaruga in 2001 or 2004, if you're asking Wikipedia, like, are they comparable?
Well, it's hard because, like, I mean, Thunder Force 3 is still considered one of the best games of its time or of its genre, and like that's how old? Like 80s, 90s, I want to say. And then it has to be one of those. But Ikaruga is like also like 23 years old and also considered like a masterpiece still today. So, like, I think it's a fair comparison. It's just one is like a mastery of like what the standard genres come to be expected to be, and then Ikaruga is more about like how much can you benefit yourself over time. Actually, I think Ikaruga gets harder as you go, and like it's really hard to do those last few stages. So it's personal preference, and also if you're able to like play through it and the allotted number of credits, which I was able to do for Thunder Force, and I was not for Ikaruga. I still think the learning curve for Ikaruga is huge, and while like that could be great for people who are like really into the genre, Thunder Force 3 is probably a better spaceship shooter, in my personal view.
It's tough. I would probably be more apt to play Ikaruga. I think Ikaruga
Okay.
has a unique system and flow, and Thunder Force, they're fantastic spaceship shooters, but I think Ikaruga almost transcends the genre. It's like it almost exits the spaceship shooter genre with how its gameplay mechanics work, to where it's almost not even a spaceship shooter sometimes. It's a puzzle game. So, just on uniqueness alone, I'd probably stick with Ikaruga.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, the thing is, I've played a bunch of Ikaruga for the other episode that came out, and I just I got to stage 4, no matter how many times I tried, and that's like kind of where I died. Whereas Thunder Force 3, I played it like couple times. I got to the last stage, I died, and then I played again, and I got through the game, and I felt like so accomplished. I value like that sense of like attainability and accomplishment. I think Thunder Force 3 just hits a sweet spot. 4, it's I think maybe of the ones I played the most comparable to Ikaruga in terms of like artistic sense, and I don't know, I wouldn't put that one above Ikaruga, but
Okay.
I still think 3 is maybe the best one of the genre.
Why don't we sideline this one and come back to it at the end then?
Yeah, and I think it's okay to lose in one round and then like another round maybe wins. Like we could go. I think we should go Sturmwind next.
Yeah, let's do Stormwind next, which I thought about this because I wanted to pick something a little more modern because we were just picking a lot of older franchises, and also Stormwind, while it isn't the same mechanically, it has a switching mechanic built into the game where you have to switch between the 3 different weapons types to like, take on different types of fire to take out different enemies and stuff. And it's a badass shooter, that's for sure.
Oh my god. It's visually a spectacle. Like it was a homebrew game released for the Dreamcast originally and then ported everywhere. You can play it on any modern system. But it is maybe one of like the coolest spaceship shooters you can play. I think of like that spread shot that's like a red beam and like you can fire straight forward or have like the wave. It kind of looks like you're a squid, and then there's like that like theming too of like some of the bosses. Like there's like that big octopus. He was like a brand part of the marketing. And the soundtrack is another thumper. It's like a electro, like kind of electronic techno thumper. Very cool game. Oh my gosh! Even that, putting that against Ikaruga, they're artistic, but for different reasons.
Yeah.
One is artistic from a gameplay standpoint, more so, Ikaruga, and then Stormwind visually is just stunning.
I did notice that every choice we picked, they're all horizontal shooters instead of vertical shooters, which Ikaruga is a vertical shooter. So kind of weird. I do prefer vertical shooters just out of personal taste, but for this one, I might be willing to say I might like Stormwind more than Ikaruga. But Ikaruga is the more creative game, so that's tough. This is a hard
I'm
one
glad
for
you
me.
played Stormwind. That's
Yeah.
a favorite. I played it a couple times now. I think I think Stormwind is a better game.
I picked it up on the Xbox and really enjoyed it. Yeah, I'd probably go Stormwind, but they're really close though. Very close. But
Hmm. Ikaruga is really for like the shooter fan, like the hardcore shooter fan, or like a person that really loves the mechanics. Just, I don't know. I like spaceship shooters, but I don't know if that's me.
I think that's the thing too, is that I have to be in the like I really appreciate Ikaruga, and it's like it almost, like I said, transcends its genre, but at the same time I have to be in the mood for it. I have to be in the mood to play Ikaruga specifically.
Sure.
Stormwind just scratches that shooter itch in general.
Right.
So.
Okay, well, let's talk about our last series, Darius. What's your personal best Darius game?
You definitely have more experience than me. I think I have played a few of them. My favorite one that I've played was you have to tell me the names. Is it Burst, EX Burst, something, a new story, something? I don't know what the fuck it is. It's a newer one.
The newest one?
It's a Chronicle story, Kingdom Hearts 758 over 2 days.
The one that we played co-op together?
I think that's the one. I actually got to play it in the arcade.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's Darius Burst.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I know they like keep re-releasing it, but with like longer subtitles. That one I actually got to play in the arcade, which was a better experience to me than playing it on the PlayStation or anything like that, because and the arcade actually had like the booth with the 3 screens, the long ass screens, and you actually get to like sit down in the booth with the surrounding music and stuff. And I got to play co-op. That was super fun that way too, playing it like in the arcade. So that almost felt like a whole experience getting to do that. But playing it like on the PS4, it was still fun, but like it didn't give me that feeling that way either.
Hmm.
So I feel like that game's almost one that I would rather just play in the arcades. So that's a tough comparison.
Yeah, that's tricky. I'm surprised you like that one the most, but I guess the arcade experience really set it home for you. Because when I played that PS4 one, it kind of felt like I don't know, not an incomplete game, but it just felt like paling in terms of content. To me, like compared to either Darius Gaiden or G Darius, both of which were PS1 games. Uh, actually, was Darius Gaiden a PS1 game? That came out on the Saturn. I played that on the Saturn. It might
Yeah,
not
the
be a
Saturn
PS1
game.
game. We played both of those on Title Legends 2 anyway, on PS2. Sidebar. Those games are just freaking beautiful. I think from a gameplay perspective, like the branching path system is great, and I think that they may be maybe the most realized conceptually in terms of like the series. I think of like the theming for the different fish monsters. I think like the operatic music for Gaiden. You know, the first level you play, it almost sounds like there's a woman singing in the background, and it's just a whole experience. Like, you know, and even midway through the levels, I think in G Darius, you can kind of go up or down. You can pick where you want to go. And then the mechanic is you can capture other sub enemies on screen and use them to your advantage. I think in at least you can do that in G Darius, and in Get Darius Gaiden, you can do that with the mid bosses. If you like hit the thing on their head with your grapple beam. So there's that thrill. It's fun. It's exciting. I always die. It's hard as nails. You do need a ton of credits to finish. I was pretty proud when I beat Darius Gaiden by using the controller hack because you know I don't have an action replay cart, so the controller hack was to take the first port controller and then just put it in the second controller and start as player two. So I was able to eat it, and beat it because it's fish, in the limited number of credits. But I think the difficulty actually maybe is a turnoff for a lot of people. That's a trick. This is maybe a closer comparison than the other two for me. The other two, I think, are very clear which one I think is a better game. These ones, I don't know. I don't know that I play Darius and then I feel like I got better at it and I feel more accomplished and able to take on the game. And I actually feel like almost the same as I feel with Ikaruga.
Mm.
But Ikaruga's mechanic is a little more interesting. The flip side is that I don't think Ikaruga's segments are as memorable.
No, they're not. They're definitely not as memorable as the Darius games. Yeah, and I remember having fun with Gaiden and stuff when we did play Title Legends 2. I hope to one day probably get Gaiden for Saturn. But I was just thinking, like the last game I played was the arcade one, but it was just I think playing it in the arcade was great because it had like that elongated screen, like a long ass screen, and that it was like you were sitting in like a theater little booth thing, like you play like those little rail guns like for Jurassic Park shit. And you sit in like a little booth, for a second. It was like it was like that. So like the music was really like surrounding, and it made the whole thing feel more cinematic, which is very cool. So I hope one day you're able to play Darius 258. 2.8 final chapter prologue chain of memories or whatever the hell it's called in the arcade because yeah it was very cool. I've never been as big into the series as you have. I do appreciate it from an artistic standpoint. I know it's very creative with its enemy designs and stuff, but I'm also not as big into horizontal shooters as I am vertical shooters. So I might still stick with Ikaruga myself, but I understand that you have a love for Darius.
Oh, I don't know if I voted. I think I would go Ikaruga.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was implying it, but I don't think I stated it. I don't know. This is a very close matchup, but I do think Ikaruga is maybe a better shooter than any of the Darius games. Crazily enough, I can't believe I'm saying that. But I
Darius,
think there are better shooters than Ikaruga.
Darius is fun because you get to the end of boss, then like a giant robot fish comes out. You're like, oh shit, like that's the
Yeah.
like that's the fun. But the fun of Ikaruga for me is that color changing mechanic really just sends the game above and beyond for me because it just kind of puts you in like this state of zen while you're playing it.
Do you
And
have you played enough Radiant Silvergun?
no, I do have it, but I haven't dumped a lot of time into it. I really should give it a chance.
So I actually really like it. I just wish I felt like more like I was getting further in the game. It actually blends RPG mechanics with the spaceship shooter, so you carry over your level up stats on your subsequent playthroughs. And your Xbox controller, you can basically pick which type of weapon you want to use based on one button you're pressing. And it's unlimited ammo for any of them. There's like a diagonal shot, there's a vertical shot, there's a homing shot, there's a backfire shot, and I think it's basically three. It's a 3-color mechanic because Radiant Silvergun came out first, and then that's why they narrowed it down to 2 shots for Ikaruga in the sequel, whatever, because they thought they could do more with less. But as a gameplay mechanic, it's pretty cool. Like I feel like I can get further in the game as my weapons get better. It also has a sword. So very awesome game. It's just I think it's too much. It's too big and very difficult to finish. I kind of just wish that like the phrase of like difficulty wasn't synonymous with both Ikaruga and Radiant Silvergun. It's not, and I think difficult undersells it. I think it's impossible. It really feels like you have to be in like the 0.5% of people who are able to like finish this game legitimately.
I know we have other ones sidelined. I'm probably just gonna, and this is just my vote, but I'm probably just gonna give Ikaruga the win for me because I do
You
think it's
say
just
it's the best spaceship shooter.
yes, just because it is more creative, I think, than a lot of other spaceship shooters. And it's that zen state that like it kind of puts you in while you're playing it that I really appreciate. That it's hard to do with a lot of shooters, especially very difficult shooters. I feel like it walks a tightrope between that and its difficulty. Maybe up to about stage 4. Stage 4 and 5 are very difficult, but it's a game that looks daunting. But once you're able to understand the mechanics and get into that, like flipping back and forth, with the colors, I feel like the game flows naturally, and I really appreciate that. And I think that's very unique. So it might not be my favorite shooter, but I might say it's one of the best. So I probably am going to stick with it.
That's interesting you say that because I do think that like Zen you're talking about, like that cognitive experience when you're playing is like it's so sought after. Like I kind of wish I had that feeling more when I was playing just games in general. I think I would rescind Stormwind as a better game, but I still think that because we didn't even put it in the running, but like Steel Empire, that's another one where I really value with that kind of game where it's like a short game, like Ikaruga's 5 levels, actually feeling like it's attainable. I really don't feel like finishing Ikaruga is attainable for me with the limited credits on Xbox. And even if I did get unlimited credits, I think it would take some of the fun out of the experience.
Okay.
So I don't have that sense of balance from it. So I do not think Ikaruga is the best spaceship shooter.
Okay. What do you want
But
to
it's
give the win
cool.
to?
Well, I don't know that I need to assign like individual game. I just think like I say Thunder Force 3 is a better game. I do think Steel Empire is a better game. That 3DS version is beautiful.
Well, Thunder Force
And
was in the running, so we could just give it your vote to that, I guess, right?
yeah, well, it's a tiebreaker, so Spencer can break a tie.
What you got, Spencer?
The only time I've ever heard of Thunder Force was through Teddy, but I've heard of Ikaruga
And it's not the
outside of
movie.
it. What's
It's a
that?
real whammer. It's not the movie.
Thunder Force the movie?
Yeah.
Fair enough. But the only time I've heard of it was through Teddy, and I've heard of Ikaruga outside of it, so I'll give that to Ikaruga. I have heard of Darius more than Ikaruga. So that's my input.
That's a vote. Okay. Ikaruga's the best shooter because Spencer says.
Has heard of it.
Spencer says Ikaruga's the best shooter. He gets the win.
I mean, this is all just a fun exercise anyway, right?
Yeah. Viewers at home, let us know if you agree or disagree.
The only one that got toppled was Mega Man. I mean, was Gunstar Heroes with Mega Man.
That's crazy. Treasure's got the legacy, you know? I don't know what other company we could really do that for, and like say they have multiple games, you know, in terms of like quality.
I mean, I think we kind of talked about this before, but the most comparable would be Rare. But even then, that's a weird comparison. You can't really do it, you know.
You can do it for 3D platformers and 2D platformers, and then that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know any other company that has as consistent of an output, you know, with their games. Even if they aren't, you know, the best game you ever played, like McDonald Treasure Land or whatever the hell that game was. Still a fun game.
You could go like with the blockbuster companies, like your Nintendos and your Capcoms, but I think that kind of takes the fun out of it.
No, I think Treasure's status of going quality over quantity really helps them in the long run, because you can't compare them to other companies. I can't compare them to like Nintendo. I mean, like Nintendo immediately falls apart when I say like Chibi Robo Ziplash. You're like, oh shit, well you're right. they made some trash sometimes. You know, same thing for Capcom. Sometimes they make some trash. You know, and Treasure doesn't really do that. So.
Well, you heard it here first, folks.
I feel like they do release a lot of trash.
Treasure?
Yeah.
Just because you haven't played it.
Well, yeah, I haven't played it. You're right, but I mean, just a cursory glance at their history, you know.
I mean, even their like Astro Boy games really have held up in high regards, right? So
you could throw that in the 2D shooter running.
Yeah.
Probably Spencer's favorite.
Even fucking Wario World. That's a cool game.
Is Wario World the best Wario game? Find out. Subscribe. Well, maybe we'll do that.
Maybe. Wario Month too.
Yeah, backed by popular demand. The farter.
Backed by my demand.
Backed by unpopular demand.
Wario.
Thanks, viewers. Have a great day.
Spencer, can you give us some words of wisdom as we close the episode? The listeners, they might have missed you because you know you're
not a lot of Spencer.
You're one of the big three. You were here, but you weren't here. You know, so maybe give them some parting words of wisdom.
It's not about who won in the end, but the memories that you created in the process.
You have 50 more seconds.
Ikaruga is better than Thunder Force and Steel Empire combined, because I've never heard of those two games.
That sounds like something Multimaster would say. I think he did in like one of our other episodes. We were talking about the Game Boy Advance games. He was like, dude, no one's even heard of that.
30 seconds.
They made a game called Mischief Makers. Treasure did.
That's DCD's like favorite game.
Yeah.
I played it. Don't tell him. It sucks.
They made a game called Yu Yu Hakusho Makyo Toitsusen.
That one's garbage.
Hey, our episode just went up. That's fun.
10 seconds, Spencer.
Their best game was definitely McDonald's Treasureland Adventure.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah.
But fuck yeah.
Forget about it.
We can't curse anymore, so we have to say fug. F-U-G-G, fug.
Bug
Fuck yeah,
life. Hey, bye.
dude. Bye, everybody.
Hey y'all, don't forget to subscribe to them button mappers.